Hello and welcome to the webinar. Glad you're here. We'll get started in just a few minutes. All right, welcome to the webinar. We're glad you're here today. Take a moment, please introduce yourself in the chat. Be sure to tell us where you're located, what your organization's name is, what your job title and role is, and what you're hoping to accomplish today. So we are looking to make this an interactive experience, and I hope that you are excited about that too. The more interactive we are, the more value you'll receive from the presentation. So if you would just take a moment and share with us where you're located, your organization name, your job title and your role, and what you're hoping to accomplish today during our time together. All right, so welcome. Glad you're here. Looks like we've got people from multiple locations, and that's always good. We're always looking for opportunities to share value. If you have a preferred topic that you'd like us to cover in the near future through a webinar or maybe our On Top of PR podcast, please be sure to share that in the comments as well, and we'll be glad to follow up with you at with the content that we put out there. So getting started, first of all, our goal today is to help you make more money out of your public relations investment, regardless of where you might want to make that investment, if it's in thought leadership or some other type of PR program, whether you're doing PR in-house or you're outsourcing it to an agency. Our goal here today is to help you make more money out of your PR investment. And so we'll look for you to make comments and ask questions throughout the presentation. And certainly, if you're watching this on demand or think of a question later, you can always send it to us. The best way to do that is at axiapr.com, axiapr.com/AMA, as in Ask Me Anything. You can do that anonymously, or you can also post it, or you can share your name and your information at any time if you'd like, and other people will see that. Or I'm sorry, if you share your name, then we'll let you know when we have addressed your question. If you do it anonymously, we'll do our best to let you know. But that'll be hard to do. About me, I am your presenter today. I was named a top PR leader in North America by the World Communication Forum. I'm a trusted advisor to America's most admired and fastest growing organizations. I'm a professional public speaker, published author, podcaster, and entrepreneur, and Forbes magazine named Axia one of America's best PR agencies. And that's the PR agency I started in 2002. We've got some upcoming webinars that you might want to check out and schedule to tune in. All the webinars take place at noon. These are the topics and the dates. If you have other topics you'd like to request, please feel free to do so. You can also click the QR code there to go to our site and see our other webinars. And soon we'll have these webinars ready for registration. If you attended today, I'll be sure to let you know, or just follow us on LinkedIn. We'll continue to promote our upcoming webinars there. So what exactly is thought leadership? Let's break that down. So thought leadership positions you as a credible, trusted authority in your industry or in your profession or to your marketplace. It's about sharing valuable insight Okay, we're back. I'm sorry about that. We literally just had a brownout, which is crazy. Um, let's see. So it's about sharing valuable insights that resonate with your target audience. Thought leaders aren't just experts, they're influencers for action. And I'm just going to see if we can get back connected to our primary internet. All right, sorry for the technical difficulties there. So, why does thought leadership matter? First of all, thought leadership drives visibility. That visibility helps you have credibility. Credibility increases conversions and ultimately will generate referrals. Visibility, build credibility, increases conversions, and generates referrals. The core elements of thought leadership are expertise, deep knowledge of your industry or niche, authenticity, be true to your brand and your voice, consistency, regular content and messaging, and engagement, direct interaction with your audience. That could be through social media, news interviews, etc. And so we broke this down by thought leadership for national and local companies. National, you want to focus on thought leadership in media outlets and broad content channels like national news and podcasts. For local thought leadership, you want to emphasize hyper local, community based thought leadership, leveraging local media, events, and partnerships. And then some sort of hybrid, if you want to consider that, is doing localized national PR strategies. We work with a lot of franchisors, and one thing we always recommend is that they take the parent company's messaging and they push them down through their local locations. Use localizing national PR messaging. Now, how to identify and leverage your expertise. So, the first thing you want to focus on is audience pain points. Reflect on what problems your company solves best. You want to make sure, secondly, you have a unique perspective. Identify unique perspectives that set you apart from your competitors. Third thing you want to focus on is your strength. Focus on your strengths. Are you known for innovation, reliability, creativity? What is it that makes you unique in the marketplace? We always advise our clients to focus on what makes them have a unique, provocative, and contrarian point of view from what everyone else is saying. And then you want to focus on your expert areas. Align your expertise and your audience needs and pain points, and that way you're being relevant to them. We have a service we call Strategic Insights where we go through this and we figure out, what do people perceive about your company, what do they perceive about your competitors, and ultimately what do they care about. And then we try to align your messages so that we're occupying the white space in the marketplace that nobody else is occupying, but more importantly, we're piercing the heart and the mind of your target audience through what their real pain points and needs are. Another framework that some of you are probably already familiar with is called Cornerstone, Rock, and Pebble Framework. Cornerstone content is where you have foundational, comprehensive pieces that cover central topics in depth. For example, over the years, we've used different pieces of Cornerstone content, including and not limited to things like saying traditional PR doesn't work anymore. We've also done most people don't know what PR is, and the problem is when they do PR, they do it wrong. And so you come up with this thematic cornerstone piece of content, and then you break it down into rock level content, which would be articles or resources that delve into specific subtopics supporting and linking back to your cornerstone content or your theme. And then Pebble content is smaller, more frequent pieces such as blog posts, infographics, or social media updates that address narrower aspects. And so what you do is you start with a big conceptual piece of content, and then you break it down into smaller pieces of content that take longer or less time to consume and are ultimately providing more valuable or more value to your organization or to your audience. We're going to try to switch back to our So now we're going to talk about thought leadership content creation strategies. First step is writing, then speaking, creating, and sharing. So write thoughtful blog posts, write white papers. I prefer to call them guides. I feel like white papers is kind of a little bit of a nerdy term that most people don't like or don't want to be bothered with or participate in. So if I were you, I would stick to calling them guides or coming up with some other terminology for them that is not that. And then, of course, you can write articles. You can write articles. You can speak at conferences. You can produce webinars just like this, where, ironically, right now we're sharing our thought leadership by sharing our expertise and our thoughts and our smarts with our audience. And then you can create videos, podcasts, webinars, interactive content, and then ultimately share that content. So leverage social media, use reels, guest articles and blogs, as well as media appearances. The next thing you want to do is you want to leverage media to build your authority. When we think of this, we think of using news releases or press releases to announce key company milestones. You want to have media relationships built with journalists and editors, especially those that are on your media list, those that are highly influential, those that will influence the industry or influence your buyers to consider doing business with you. You want to do interviews and guest columns, positioning yourself as an expert on industry topics or niche or enthusiast topics that your organization specializes in. And of course, ultimately, you want that to lead into earned media, getting featured or mentioned in the news, podcast, and TV appearances. Then you want to use social media as a thought leadership tool. In order to do that, you want to be consistent with your messaging and voice. You want to engage. You want to share insights, ask questions, reply to comments. You want to create, share videos, articles, and resources, and you want to use hashtags strategically to increase discoverability. Although, hashtags are starting to become more and more out of vogue. Speaking of social media, we recently did a podcast episode on Top of PR where we talked about 20 reasons your social media sucks and how to fix it. And the feedback has been very positive from a variety of sources on that episode. And I think it's healthy for anybody and everybody to watch this episode because I guarantee you're going to find something in there that you're probably doing today that is hurting or harming your social media content and engagement. Let me know which of these tips or one of these reasons that you think was the most helpful to you and your organization. We also want to talk about how to measure success and impact of your thought leadership. So one way to do that is through traffic, monitoring your website traffic, your social media engagement, as well as mentions. Speaking of engagements, you want to track the volume and quality of your interactions, whether that's comments, shares, or my favorite is click-through rate. And then conversions, you want to try to track how many leads or sales have come directly from those thought leadership activities. That could be stage side leads that occurred at a speaking engagement that then came through as a new customer. But overall, what you're trying to do is build company awareness, and that's where PR and thought leadership works best, is overall company awareness. And you might want to use surveys and social listening to determine how your company is perceived. One pro tip I want to leave with our audience today is the easy way to write a book. So lots of companies, lots of executives, lots of people talk about wanting to write a book one day, but it can feel like a very daunting task. One of the best tips I've ever heard about how to write a book is simply to outline the book with the 10 topics you want to cover in the book. So you get out a piece of paper or some other device and start outlining the 10 things you want to cover in the book. In the process of covering the 10 things that you want to put in the book, ultimately make those 10 things become a chapter. So now you've got 10 chapters for your book. The next step is to take those 10 topics and figure out what are the 10 questions you want to answer, or the 10 questions you think your audience might have about those topics. Next thing you know, you've got a list of 10 chapters, you've got a list of 10 things you want to talk about, and then you just start answering those questions. At that point, you've got a very nice document put together. You can either put in a generative AI tool to say, hey, help me convert this content into a book, or you can turn that into an editor or start working with an editor to finalize the book. But right there in those simple process, which probably would take you, I would guess, about a day if you were really dedicated, maybe even a week if you went at it a little bit slower, and there you can quickly have a book done in 10 easy steps. Another pro tip is, here's some unique ways to get content ideas. So almost every organization has a sales department and a service department. And what you ought to do is you ought to ask your sales department and your service department to write down every single question they're asked in any one given period of time. That might be in the morning, that might be for a day, that might be for several days, a week, a month, a quarter, a year. And have them turn in those questions that they're asked to you either daily, weekly. I would certainly encourage weekly, but you could do monthly as well. And then here's the trick. You recognize whoever sent the most questions in, or department that sent the most questions in, or the team or the location, depending on how your organization is organized. And maybe you throw them something as simple as a pizza party, or you give them some other spiff or incentive, either individually or by the department, for their contributions. And guess what? Each one of those questions is ultimately going to be very beneficial to your organization, because you can turn that question into content that supports your sales team, that supports your service department. You can put that content on your website as a frequently asked question and answer. You can put that on your website. You can write a dedicated blog post to go into more detail. So you're writing a blog post about that same question. That blog is going to rank really high in Google, because Google loves blogging and blogs. Even though to me blogging sounds boring, it's very powerful when it comes to search engine optimization. We're going to have an upcoming webinar specifically talking about the power of blogging, the value and benefit of blogging. And so if you take if you take each of these questions you receive, you turn them into a frequently asked question, you take in that answer of the question, you hyperlink from an anchor tag, a descriptive anchor tag, to the more comprehensive blog post you wrote about that topic, then you're not only providing them with a short answer. And by the way, generative AI and AI tools love using FAQs and citing FAQs and sourcing and using FAQs when they give answers. And so that's going to help you rank higher on personal devices, as well as get ranked within generative AI content. And then when you offer the link for more information that sends them to the fuller article, then you're comprehensively answering their question. You're demonstrating your thought leadership to them there. And then you can take that blog post and you can break it up into smaller content like social media posts. You can record a video just like this where you're answering the question and you're going through the different elements of it. Turn that video then that you recorded into a series of reels for your social media. And so you can just build that content over and over again by turning it into multiple pieces from that one piece of content. But certainly recognize the department, individual, and team that contributed significantly to those ideas, because those ideas are like gold. And here's the key point of this. If somebody's willing to ask someone else that question, someone else is searching for that same question on the internet, whether that's through a search engine or through Reddit or Quora or something like that. And this is your opportunity to answer that question preemptively through a Google search or other search that then gets you credibility, clout, and click-throughs to your website. All right, so actionable steps to build your thought leadership strategy. So if you've listened to this webinar and you're ready to get started on thought leadership, step one is to define your niche area of expertise and audience. You might focus on a particular vertical or a type of audience. So some examples of that might be your clients might be strictly CEOs. Your clients might be strictly entrepreneurs, or maybe it's small business owners, or your customers are going to be busy moms, or maybe it's blue collar dads. Maybe your audience is simply homeowners in the United States. Maybe you're a family entertainment center and your key audience is parents looking for something to do with their kids on the weekends. You've got to define your niche area of expertise and your audience. And by the way, this isn't just B2B. This can very much be B2C, like I described with the family entertainment centers. Maybe you're a cybersecurity company that provides cybersecurity products and services, and your audience, and maybe you have a service for consumers and a service for companies. Either way, you must define your niche area of expertise and audience. Step number 2 is to start creating and sharing content regularly. And regularly, in my mind, means daily or weekly. Certainly monthly is good, but it would be much better if you were doing it more frequently. Now, we at Axia, we produce a monthly webinar like this, and so that's okay to do once a month. We do between 2 and 4 podcasts a month. We're doing between 2 and 4 blog posts a week. We're producing a guide or an ebook about once a year, ideally once a quarter. And so you want to set up the frequency and you want to commit to these frequencies so you have regular and consistent content coming out. And you want that content to be helpful content. This is not a time to sell. This is a time to share. It's a time to share your expertise. Step 3 is to secure media opportunities and partnerships. So look for opportunities to connect with media and share your content through earned media coverage. Look for partnerships. Some people call these joint ventures, but is there a way you can share this content with your professional or industry association? Are there providers of software or providers of other services to your industry that are complementary to what you're doing at your company, and to where working together you can help more people by forming a partnership or maybe even a joint venture of this content sharing? Step 4 would be going back to step 3, for example, I've been a guest, a webinar guest on software for the PR industry for their webinars. They've invited me to present. They've invited me to panel. I've invited them to be on my podcast, On Top of PR with jmudd. So look for those opportunities and partnerships. Step 4 is to engage consistently on social media. And that just means consistently share helpful content. Become known as the helpful expert. You don't want to become known as the prideful or arrogant expert. You want to become known as the helpful expert. Step 5 is you want to measure results and refine your strategy over time. This means reviewing your KPIs, reviewing the performance of your content and your thought leadership, and then improving as needed. We recommend you do this on a quarterly basis. That's what we do with our clients. So once a quarter, we revisit kind of the messaging or the response, and then we revisit the messaging and we revisit kind of the activities to make sure we're finding the best solution possible. So I'm curious, take a moment, look at these steps, look at these 5 steps, and think about where you are today in your journey of thought leadership. Are you only at step 1? That's okay. I gave you some tips earlier about how to define your audience, and I would tell you to go as deep down into the specifics as you possibly can. And then, or are you somewhere in step 5 where you're already actively doing this and you're just looking for ways to improve? Again, you can go to axiapr.com/AMA to ask me anything, and you can do it anonymously, or you can do it with your contact information so I can make sure you see or hear or receive our response. So take a moment, think about where you are in what step and what step you need to do next and how you can improve your overall thought leadership strategy. So let's talk. Is there any questions that you have? I'm happy to answer those for you. Please make those questions in the comment. And we want to say, thank you for joining us today. We hope you found this webinar helpful and insightful. If you did, please take a moment to share it with a friend or colleague that would benefit. And then the next step would be, if you're interested, to book a free strategy session with us to discuss your company's thought leadership. You can use the QR code presented here, or just go to axiapr.com/apply. That's axiapr.com/apply. And as mentioned earlier, we've got these upcoming webinars. If you want to put them in your calendar, they all take place at noon Eastern. And you can follow this link to sign up. They may not be ready for you to sign up today, but as we get closer to the events, they will be available to sign up. In addition, follow us on social media at Axia PR, where we will be promoting these upcoming events and encouraging you to sign up there. And so that's the upcoming topics that we have. If you're interested, here are some of the PR solutions that we provide to organizations like yours, and certainly glad to answer any questions you might have about those. And again, if you have questions, use the chat to leave your questions, or if you want to ask us something privately, go to axiapr.com/AMA for Ask Me Anything. Under these PR solutions, we have listed news, social, and web. That's how we split up our services. And then obviously, I want to say thank you for joining us today. Thank you for the opportunity to provide value and enhance in the profession and give back to the profession. And if you're interested, we would love to have you stay with us for an upcoming webinar that we see here. And if you have any preferred topics that you want to explore with us or would like us to cover, whether it's on our podcast, on our blog post, or ebooks and guides that we have available, or our webinars, just let us know. Speaking of those items, they are available at axiapr.com/resources. We've got guides, we've got ebooks, we've got webinars, and other on-demand resources for you, including a calculator to figure out what it costs to properly staff an in-house PR department, and some other resources I think you'll find very valuable. Again, if you have any questions, just post them in the comments. I'm very happy to answer them. Okay, I'm not seeing any new questions. Questions you might be thinking about would be, where do I get started? I would point you back to the steps that we just talked about. Step 1, define your niche area of expertise and audience. Step 2, start creating and sharing content regularly. Step 3, secure media opportunities and partnerships. Step 4, engage consistently on social media. And step 5, measure results and refine your strategy over time. I would start by figuring out, where are we today at our organization and where do we need to be in the future? Hey, with that, this is Jason Mudd. Thank you for tuning in. And if there's anything we can do for you, just let us know. Thank you for watching.